Hey UFC betters, JD from Best MMA Picks here, and we are live with our final broadcast of the year for the main event of this very exciting card, UFC 194, taking place in Las Vegas, Nevada, tonight at 7 p.m., 10 p.m. Eastern Pacific. Jose Aldo versus Conor McGregor for the featherweight title. This card is stacked from top to bottom. I am super excited about a lot of these fights. The main card fights are all going to be absolutely phenomenal. We've got some great picks for this card that we're very confident on, and we're coming off of halfway decent week, coming out slightly ahead today and yesterday. So we're going to keep things short and sweet here. Make sure that you follow us on youtube.com/best MMA pick plus best MMA picks. So youtube.com/plus best MMA picks. And follow us on Twitter. Most of our activity goes on Twitter. And it's twitter.com/best MMA picks. But we also started an Instagram and a Facebook. We'll be posting our plays of the night, one on each. Our Facebook group, which is facebook.com/best MMA picks. And our other play of the night will go on our Instagram feed. And that's instagram.com/best MMA picks. So you can find the links at the bottom of this video if you don't want to write them down. Just click on the links and then add us to your favorites or your friends. So let's just start this card off top to bottom. We're just going to go with leans here. We're not going to post any plays. We're just going to go with what I think here based on what I know on these fighters. I think Court McGee has better experience than this Marcio Alexandre guy. I haven't seen any footage on Alexandre, but I know that McGee has fought some really tough opponents, and he's just got a lot of heart. He's got a lot of cardio, and he can go the distance, pretty much in any fight and take a beating and give a beating. I'm just confident in Court McGee to be able to pull this one out. So my prediction here is for Court McGee to defeat Marcio Alexandre by unanimous decision. Next fight, we've got Yancy Medeiros and John McDessie. Yancy Medeiros is a much lankier, taller fighter, Hawaiian. He's got good striking, trains with the Diaz brothers, and he also has several other camps in Hawaii that he trains at. McDessie trains as TriStar with the likes of Georgia St. Pierre, Faraz Sahabi, Roy McDonald. He's a very technical striker, just like all of the other Faraz fighters. This one, to me, I believe that McDessie has had some issues with his chin, and he's really coming off of a really bad knockout where he was, his base was pretty much shattered, and he had to actually basically quit the fight because of the pain, which is, not something that this guy normally would do. He's usually a pretty tough guy. He can take a shot. So for that to happen, it must have been pretty painful. He must have had a really bad injury. I didn't look into to see exactly what happened to him, but it looked pretty bad. And usually when a guy comes off of a beatdown like that, they're typically not the same when they return. And so I think Medeiros being an underdog here, I don't know what the line's at. It's definitely worth a look. He's a positive 145, so the line I think's moved a little bit. I think he opened at 200 or somewhere around there. So yeah, definitely look at Medeiros as a possibility for an underdog play. Just on a McDessie that's coming off of that kind of a big question mark there as to how he's going to recover from that last defeat. So my my predictions for Yancy Medeiros to defeat John McDessie by TKO. Moving on, we've got Joe Proctor and Magomed Mustafayev. Magomed's only lost one time in the UFC. Joe Proctor's lost 3 times. Proctor is a good fighter, comes out of the Joe Lozon camp. And Magomed is a Russian-born fighter, very good striker, very disciplined striker. And seeing him from his last couple bouts, I believe he's going to be the more disciplined and technical striker out of the two of these guys. Definitely has finishing abilities. So my prediction is for Magomed Mustafayev to defeat Joe Proctor by unanimous decision. Excuse me. Still fighting a respiratory. I don't know what it is, if it's a flu or pneumonia or what, that I've been out for the count the last couple of days. So forgive me. I'm just going to keep these things quick. These are all rough leans. Things can change, like I say in every video. Make sure to keep keep our feed. Follow our Twitter feed, because all of our actual plays that we make are on there, and it's usually based off of pretty good research and viewing of footage of these fights. So next fight, we have Kevin Lee and Leonardo Santos. Kevin Lee is just one of those naturally gifted athletic guys who has a strong pedigree for wrestling. Santos, I don't know much about this guy. He looks like he's a Brazilian BJJ practitioner. I don't know much about the guy, to be honest. I haven't seen him fight. Well, actually, I think I did see the Tony Martin fight. He also fought Efren Escudero. So he's finishing some guys that are actually really tough fighters. So we'll keep that in mind. He's got the submissions skills. Looks like a black belt possibly in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I don't know much about this guy, so this could definitely be an upset on the card. I would like to view more footage. Kevin Lee's coming in as a massive favorite, though. I believe he came in, if you look at it on here, yeah, he's a negative 600. This, to me, sometimes these kind of fights where the guy's definitely on an upswing, but then he meets a guy who's just kind of got this weird style, and like a guy like Leonardo Santos, who's really skilled and talented with submissions. Sometimes these guys get caught, so we got to be careful there with this. I don't know that I recommend playing anything on Lee as far as parlays, even though he's more than likely going to, get a steady win here. I don't know that I can recommend anything there, but my lean here is for Kevin Lee to defeat Leonardo Santos by decision. Don't think he's going to submit him. It's probably going to move more than likely him controlling the fight with his wrestling. Next fight, we've got Warley Alves and Colby Covington. Both of these guys are undefeated fighters. Got a submissions artist and then a more well-rounded mixed martial artist. I got to go with the Brazilian here, even though that we do have some grappling advantages here with Colby Covington. This guy, Alves, has defended 100% of his takedowns that have been shot at him. So I'm not too worried about him getting taken down here. However, Covington, it looks like he does like to wrestle. If it does go to the ground, there's a good chance that he's going to get submitted by Alves. And this guy's just very talented. A lot of people are on Alves. Not too sure what I think, to be honest, but I tend to like an undefeated Brazilian fighter more than I like an undefeated American fighter. Excuse me. So, this guy's defeated guys that are really tough, including Alan Japan, Nordine Taleb, and he's finished them. Finished Marcio Alexandre. So he definitely has finishing skills. I think this guy's a game opponent for any fighter. And my prediction here is for Warley Alves to defeat Colby Covington by submission in the second round. Next, we have Tisha Torres, the Tiny Tornado, versus Jocelyn Jones Liebarger. Both these gals have pretty good records. Tisha Torres is 6-0, and Jones Lieberger is 6-1. Both these gals like to take it to the decision. 100% of those, which being Tisha Torres, taking the fights to the decision. So Tisha Torres is definitely a volume striker, usually outstrikes and outpoints just about every gal that she faces. I don't see this being any different here, even though that it might be a little more evenly matched than what the odds indicate. And right now, the odds, if you look at over here, Tisha Torres is a negative 303, so it may not be worth betting anything on these. Excuse me. Fighting this cold and it's freaking miserable. Over under definitely looks like the odds like the over here. A lot of times we see it going under on those kind of fights, though. But I'm not too sure how much we want to gamble with this one. With both these gals pretty much shaking it 90% of the time to the judges' scorecards. But yeah, that's my lean. It's for Tisha Torres to get it done by a decision. And last on the prelims here, we've got Uriah, the California Kid, Faber, and Frankie Saenz. And Saenz is definitely a guy who has kind of been up and coming. He's flown low under the radar. Not a whole lot of people know who he is, but he's ranked number 13 now in the bantamweight division. He's a tough guy. This isn't really a good fight for Uriah Faber to take. Frankie Saenz is a very game opponent, just about anybody. Although I don't think that there are many people that Uriah Faber can, that can hang with Uriah Faber other than the champions. So every non-title bout that Uriah Faber has had, he's pretty much won every single one of them. So got to keep that in mind here with Saenz and Uriah Faber. I think that Faber will still be able to get the job done rather handily. And some people are predicting an upset here with Saenz. I could see Saenz landing some good shots, but ultimately it's that takedown ability of Uriah Faber. He's going to get people down to the ground. Saenz is, pretty good wrestler actually. But I think Uriah Faber's got more MMA wrestling in his arsenal. He knows how to transition. He knows how to shoot. And he knows how to strike too, and that definitely helps him use those. He can threaten you from just about anywhere. So my predictions for Uriah Faber to defeat Frankie Saenz by submission, probably late second round. Moving on to the main card, first of the main card bouts, of which I'm very excited about, is Jeremy Stephens and Max Holloway. And both these guys are very talented fighters. Stephens is coming from several, big victories. I think his last one was a huge underdog victory, if I remember correctly, against Dennis Bermudez. He was like a 2-1 underdog, I believe it was, and he actually KO'd Bermudez, which is awesome in my book. I think we had played him on that play, and we cashed it. So definitely a nice one. So he's always a game underdog. Stephens is a guy you can never count out of the fight. That really worries me when, especially guys like Holloway, who everybody kind of are jumping on the Holloway train. We could definitely see an upset here if Stephens lands that heavy leather that he normally likes to throw. So if I was just to look on this in pen and paper and based off of what I know from seeing all the fights that I know, the most likely scenario here is for Max Holloway to defeat Jeremy Stephens by unanimous decision. However, this may be worth a look at an underdog play. Not too sure how I feel about it right now, but I will give it more thought and probably look at some footage and just kind of pinpoint a few things that I think, might make a more informed decision on. But yeah, that's my lean for now. Max Holloway to defeat him. Next fight, we have Damian Maia and Gunnar Nelson. Gunnar Nelson's only lost one time. Maia has actually lost 6 times in the UFC, but if you compare the level of opponents between the two, Maia's faced the who's who in that weight division, and in middleweight as well. He's had some middleweight opponents like Anderson Silva, for example. So Damian Maia's kind of made some changes in his game plans lately. He's gotten really good at those takedowns. I'm really, really surprised at how well he's been taking down guys like Neil Magny, just controlling him from the top and just smothering him. And Gunnar Nelson knows how to kind of weasel his way out of those situations, and he's really good off of his back too. He's a Gracie Barra, black belt. So these guys are both on similar levels with their Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but the younger, more crafty kind of guy, I guess, would be Nelson in my book. Damian Maia is a world champion Jiu-Jitsu guy, and both these guys, it's going to be usually when you see Jiu-Jitsu guys like that, they usually just stay on the feet the whole fight, pretty much. The way Gunnar Nelson fights, he likes to fight with some distance, uses karate, and he has a karate stance where he kind of stands back. And this also gives him the ability to retreat rather quickly. And so a guy like Maia is going to have to shoot really quick, and he's going to have to close the distance really quick in order to get a guy like Nelson down. I don't know that he's going to really try to do that, though. Excuse me. I don't see a guy like Maia getting submitted at all. So I don't think that part of the game plan is going to work for Gunnar Nelson. However, I do believe that Gunnar Nelson has a huge advantage on standing the fight up. So basically, from his karate experience and striking abilities, I think he's a better striker and has pinpoint striking accuracy. Damian Maia's gotten a lot better though, so this is a tough one for me to call. But looking at it, I would have to go with Damian Maia here as my initial lean, because I think he will have the ability to get Gunnar Nelson down, and I think that he does have definitely a good shot at submitting Nelson. But I'm really torn on this one, to be honest. I think that both these guys are really even, but if I'm to go with my gut here, it's definitely going to be Maia, being more experienced, knowing what to do in different situations, and just being very aggressive at the top control. So next fight, this is probably the fight, other than the two, the main event and the co-main event, this is probably the fight that I'm the most excited about. Yoel Romero taking on Jacare Ronaldo Jacare Souza. Both these guys have very impressive records. Souza has won, I think, like 12 fights, his last 12 fights in a row. And they're not just, these fights have not been against like lesser talents. These are all professional mixed martial arts bouts, where he's fighting somebody legitimate, either Strikeforce or K1 or whatever it was. I forget what league he was in before, but he was in, he fought Musasi back in the day. So, this guy's Souza has fought a lot of guys that are very talented, but lately they haven't been to the caliber and level of the guys that Yoel Romero has fought. The big difference here between the two of these guys is Yoel Romero has been knocking guys out like every single time that he fights. People cannot survive his punches. And the thing is he just keeps getting better and better. We don't know what the peak and the potential of Yoel Romero is, because it's just a big question mark. We don't know how good this guy can really get. He just keeps getting better and better. I mean, he knocks guys out like Tim Kennedy and Lyoto Machida, who were actually champions pretty much at one point, or have fought against champions. So there's no question in my mind that Yoel Romero can beat just about anybody. And people might say that that's a tall order. That's a really big statement, but I believe that Yoel Romero will either be champion someday or he's going to get a title shot really quick. And I think that I don't think there's anybody who can stop him. If there's anybody who can stop him, it's going to be Souza. Because everybody else, he's got better wrestling than anybody. He's got the highest level of wrestling in mixed martial arts today, other than, guys like Daniel Cormier. Uh, so, this guy's defeated legendary wrestlers. He's just freakishly athletic and freakishly fast. People don't realize how fast he is and how strong he is combined. Being able to time a guy like Machida, that takes a lot of speed and a lot of talent. And I think Yoel Romero is fighting a lot smarter than what he used to. He used to be, the one loss that he had was against Fejao. That was when he was fighting really dumb, just really kind of a new fighter. Since then, he's, just had victory after victory. So I don't think anything's changing here. I'm going to keep riding the money train, and that money train is Yoel Romero. I think that a lot of people are just counting him out again. I think that he's tough as nails, and I think he's going to be able to take shots from Souza when they're thrown. And ultimately, I feel like Yoel Romero is going to stop this fight. We're going to see something really brutal here, I think. And Souza's going to be the one who's going to be the one experiencing it. So my prediction is for Yoel Romero to defeat Ronaldo Souza by KO in the second round. Co-main event of the evening: Chris Weidman versus Luke Rockhold. Chris Weidman undefeated at 13-0. Luke Rockhold at 14-2. So many Rockhold nut huggers right now, and so many people counting out Chris Weidman. I just don't get why so many people count out Chris Weidman. Okay, Rockhold to me lately has looked a lot better than what he used to look. I feel like he's not, I think he's just kind of a blocky fighter. He's not one of those fluid moving fighters like Weidman and Anderson Silva. He's kind of got this kind of blocky, really athletic build, but he doesn't move in time. It doesn't seem like he times guys very well. He's got really slick submissions and really good leg kicks, but Weidman is the champion, so he's got that going for him. Usually with the champion, you have to really win by a beat down in order for that to actually be considered for a new champion. So I'm going with the champion here. I think the champion's going to get it done. I think people are doubting the champion, and he's just going to prove everybody wrong again. And Rockhold, it might be via split decision. It might be via a stoppage. I think that Chris Weidman has the ability to stop a guy like Luke Rockhold. If anybody thinks that the wrestling of Weidman can't compete with the ground game of Luke Rockhold, you're crazy. You're just flat out crazy, because Weidman has some of the highest credentials for wrestling in MMA. I'm not worried about that at all. I'm more worried about stand-up than anything. But Weidman's stood up against guys, just about of every caliber in his weight class, including guys like Anderson Silva, and he's been very comfortable. So not worried about that at all. I'm not worried about Rockhold at all. I think Weidman is a very solid pick, and that's my prediction is for Chris Weidman to defeat Luke Rockhold and retain his belt, probably by a decision. But we could also see a finish. You just never know. You forget that Luke Rockhold was actually knocked out. Who was it that knocked him out? Was it Machida? It was either Machida or Vitor. I forget. It was a while back. But he was literally knocked out like 5 seconds into the opening round. Vitor Belfort knocked him out with a freaking leg kick to the head. So this guy is defeatable. Definitely finishable. Chris Weidman almost got knocked out by Vitor, but covered up pretty good. Then he finished Vitor. So we definitely could see the finish here between the two of these guys. But, like I said, I think Weidman's going to get the job done. It's going to be by a unanimous decision. And the last fight of the card, not super sure about who's going to win this one, but very, very excited nonetheless. Conor McGregor and Jose Aldo. Aldo has not been defeated in over 10 years. Conor McGregor has just kept defeating and knocking guys out left and right. We've seen this similar story before. where you've got a hype train and it gets completely derailed when it gets to be title time. So, and that last hype train was Anthony Johnson. The newest hype train is Conor McGregor. Now, do I think Conor McGregor is a bad fighter? No, I do not. But I just feel like Aldo has more athleticism. He's been in the game, and been the champion for so long. I don't see anything changing here. I don't see him losing. I would not mind seeing him lose just because I never see him lose. Sometimes that annoys me with certain fighters, but I don't see that happening. I really don't. I don't see Conor McGregor being able to knock him out either. We've never really seen Jose Aldo be knocked out or tagged to the point of being knocked out. So I don't think Conor McGregor's going to be able to do that. I think that people are going to probably be sorely disappointed when it goes to 5 rounds and Conor McGregor loses. Okay. So the money goes on the champion here for me. And McGregor, though, is definitely not a bad bet. I think a lot of people are still going to bet McGregor, but, if you can get Jose Aldo, who hasn't lost in 10 years, on an underdog play, if you're not playing that, you're fucking crazy. Like, I don't get how people think, but I guess that's why so many people lose money in Vegas. Well, can't say I didn't warn you and tried to help you. So anyway, this card's going to be really exciting. Really, really looking forward to it. Unfortunately, I have some commitments leading up to the card, so some of my picks might be a little late in the day. It'll be on Twitter. The main card doesn't start till 7. I'll be available to watch the main card at least. So we might not have a whole lot of plays on the prelims. There will definitely be some plays on the main card, though. So hope everybody has a good night. Hope everybody cashes at the window. And stay tuned for our picks. Make sure you add us, subscribe to us, give us a good like. We do this all for free, but the likes definitely help. It's kind of like a way of saying thank you. And we also do appreciate retweets. We've had a lot of people retweeting us, which we really appreciate. Thank you to everybody who retweets us on Twitter when you like our plays, and all the likes. It's all great. We appreciate that a lot. It just helps us grow, and we can continue to provide good, information to you. So, I'm excited for this, and apologize for me being sick here. Hopefully we'll be back to normal here going into the new year, and everybody have a good night. Thanks for tuning in.